Welcome, and thank you for joining Between Sessions with Justin and Challee.
Just a quick disclaimer before we start. This podcast is for educational and conversational purposes only. It's not intended to replace therapy, counseling, or professional mental health care. We are sharing lived experiences and reflections, not prescriptions, and we encourage our listeners to seek professional guidance when needed.
Hi, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us this week. Today, we have a topic that is pretty near and dear to both of us right now, and probably a lot of us can relate to experiencing this at some point or another. So, Challee, can you introduce our topic for this week?
All right, so the topic for this week, I'm anxious just thinking about it.
Me too.
So our topic for this week is test anxiety, which like Justin said is very near and dear to both of us because we both are preparing to sit for our social work board exams. Justin's getting ready to sit for his LMSW. I'm getting ready to sit for my LCSW, and it's very nerve-wracking, and we have both discovered that we have a little bit of test anxiety. Well, if we both have test anxiety, there's got to be more people that have it. So that's what we're going to talk about this week. So I have my study guide handy.
So, thinking about this, test anxiety is something that can come up not only for big tests, but can be little tests. Could be things that we have like performance reviews at work or different places. It does not always have to be like the super big test. In our case, it is a bigger test. And so, something that I've been trying to remind myself is that this test does not define me. And it's not connected to my worth as a person, where it was really easy for me to get into that mindset and kind of spiral with that of, well, if I don't do well on this, then I am not doing well as a person. So to really try and separate that is something that I'm working on that I didn't realize was so closely connected for me. And it also shows up kind of as that perfectionism or fear of failure.
Yeah. And so I got this study guide. And there is a whole section in here about overcoming psychological barriers and testing anxieties. Obviously, it's pretty prominent if the study guide basically tells you how to cope with that.
And so I've been doing some studying on different platforms. I've been listening to a podcast about it, the Agents of Change podcast, and there were multiple episodes on being able to identify what your learning style is, being able to work through some of that test anxiety and things to be able to prepare for a test. Something that I did not think about until hearing it, but it made so much sense was learning what my learning style is, figuring out what is the best way that I'm going to learn rather than doing all the things that I feel like I'm supposed to do because that's what other people have done. And then none of it's sinking in. And then I'm not really getting anything out of it. And I've spent all this time cramming for it and didn't retain anything. So the thing that I used was the VARC assessment that it goes over the different learning styles. And
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. So VARC, it stands for the visual learning. Goes through to kinesthetic. So you go through, and I can actually link that right in the description as well.
Yeah, because I want to do it.
Yeah.
What is it? Visual, auditory.
What does the R stand for?
Okay,
Yeah.
you keep talking. I'm gonna look this up.
So it is a questionnaire that you go through and you answer different questions based on a scale. And then that is going to help you identify what your learning style is. And it gives you different scores in each of the areas. So then you can kind of see what your top two are. So for me, it was kinesthetic. So that is going to be more of hands-on learning. So for me, it's doing multiple things, having different stimuli so that I can make sure that I'm doing something that is hands-on while I'm learning. Maybe I'm listening to something, and that's the way that the information is getting into my brain. What's the R stand for?
Stands for read and write.
Read and write. That's what it was.
Which is, I used to do that all the time, is rewrite my notes.
So being able to go through that can just give us a little bit more knowledge on what we're going to be the most effective and most successful with. I think that's a really good place to start, which I didn't even think about it. I just jumped into I remember doing this before for a spelling test. I'm going to write all the things. Well, what if I wrote 250 vocabulary words and that's not even how I'm going to learn something from?
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to learn that was really beneficial. Being able to just gain that knowledge about ourselves is something that's going to help us be a little bit more successful in this. What do you think Like, what creates that anxiety, do you think?
Oh my gosh. I mean, fear of failure for one thing. I mean, I also have to remind myself that this does not define me.
Yeah.
And uh, there's a lot of pressure, right? Like you feel a lot of pressure to pass your test. I feel a lot of pressure to pass my test.
Mhm.
Our careers kind of depend on it.
Right.
So this is a very high pressure test. And we've talked about fight or flight and how our brains do not know the difference between certain things. And test anxiety can send us into fight or flight response, which is interesting.
And then we're not effective at all because,
No.
like, we can't even access that part of the brain where our memory is, where those problem-solving skills are. So, if we're just stuck in that fight or flight or that survival mode, we're basically throwing out everything that we've done to prepare if we can't bring ourselves back down. Some of the different ways to be able to do that would be some grounding techniques, some deep breathing, and being able to do what works for us to calm ourselves down. Thinking about this, it's going to be a little bit limited when we're in a testing center. We may not have those creature comforts, or we're not going to have those creature comforts that we would maybe in our home when we're studying. It's like I hold a stone many times to be able to help me feel less anxious as like a fidget. I'm not going to be able to have that, I don't think. You have to go in with pretty much nothing. So maybe I can fidget with a pencil or something. But I mean, if that's my only coping skill, I'm going to go and be lost. And then
Hmm.
I'm not going to be able to ground myself. So for me, I've tried to really develop the piece of doing some deep breathing, counting my breath, being able to just take a minute and be aware of my surroundings because it's going to be a pretty like testing sterile environment. It's probably like white, not a lot of stimuli, you're in a cube, and that might look different for different people depending on whatever we're studying for, whatever tests we're taking, but most of the time tests are pretty limited in what we're going to have access to. Is there anything that you have used to be able to help ground yourself like going into a test?
Just a lot of like the deep breathing and just like the sensory stuff. But you are correct. You cannot bring anything into this test. I had to like pull my pockets out, all like any pockets that I had, they make you turn them out or like pat you down.
Hmm.
Like they take that so serious. So, yeah. I think also leading up to the test, like, okay, test day anxiety is one thing, but like the
Hmm.
leading up to the test, I procrastinate really bad, and then I try to cram, and that's actually what I did for my first test 3 years ago, was I just crammed, and I passed, yay, but, like, it did nothing to help my anxiety about it. So, this time around, I want to make, like, a schedule because look at this book, like, this is just the study guide,
And like
like
feels overwhelming in itself, right?
so much. Yeah, so my goal is to make, like, a little schedule and break it down so it doesn't seem so, because if I just look at this, I'm
Yeah.
like, "I'm never picking this up. I'm gonna pick this up the night before." So, I think just kind of breaking it down by, like, section or topic, that will really help me to be able to, like, master one thing at a time rather than
Mhm.
cramming everything.
Because there is a cognitive capacity that we have. There is only so much that our brain can take in, and that's in anything that we're doing. There is just only so much that our brain can handle at a point in time. That's why they've found that like cramming really isn't as effective. Yes, sometimes it can work. I'm not saying that it
I've
can't work.
found that cramming is effective for me when it's strictly memorization. Like, I think back to being in school for like, if I was taking a test that was just a vocab test, like cramming right before the test with like index cards and stuff, like that was actually pretty effective for me. But if it's not vocab and it's like clinically understanding, like you have to understand, for example, the code of ethics. Like you memorizing it isn't enough. You have to be able to apply it. That's not something you can cram. That's something you have to take time to understand. So I think for me, that's where the difference is with cramming.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. There might be certain things that it's beneficial to have like really fresh in that memory. So like going through in the flashcards are a huge thing of being able to do it. But like if that's your only test prep, it can happen, but it doesn't ease our anxiety. It doesn't make us feel super confident going into the test. So being able to have different forms of it, being kind to ourselves, I think is something else that maybe we don't think about a lot with this. Especially, I know for me, because I'm putting or have been putting so much pressure on the test of like it defining or being so important is then I'm not being kind to myself in the way
Mhm.
that I'm thinking about it when I'm not getting the answer right. Of course, I'm not getting it right. That's not helpful. It
Right.
doesn't reinforce that I can understand it. It doesn't reinforce that I'm going to get it. If I'm going through all the things and every time I get a question wrong or I don't get the information correct, saying that I can't do it is just going to keep me in that exact point of not being able to do it because I'm not opening up my brain. So being able to, okay, I will get this over time or this is a point to start. Of course, I'm not going to know all the answers right now, but I will learn them.
Exactly.
So, like, changing
Yes.
that way that we're speaking to ourselves as well can have a really big impact. And it's something simple. Simple, not easy.
Oh, I like that. Different. Yes. Simple, but not always easy. I think another thing too is leaning on support. Like you're clearly not alone in this. Anyone who has taken like for this specific anybody that's taken the test is gonna be able to understand the anxiety that comes with it.
Mm,
It's a very long test. It's 4 hours. It's 180 questions. It's, on a computer, which is, I mean, that's like a strain to me. I remember taking the test and it was just like blurring after a while where I'm just like, I swear I already answered this question. And it's expensive.
It's
It's,
some added pressure too, I think, is
yeah,
like,
that's a
there's a
huge
cost.
added pressure. It's like $300 to
Mhm.
take this test. I forget. It's like so much just to be able to apply for the test.
295 to apply.
295 to apply, and then I think it's like 294 to take the test. So
Mhm.
this is like a $600 investment, and I believe if you have to retake it, you have to pay one of those every single time.
I think it's a little bit discounted, but like discounted not by a ton. And so there's pressure that you want to pass the first time because
It's expensive AF, and we don't want to pay for it again. Yeah, that's a huge pressure.
switching topics a little bit, but like what are some of the other pressures? Like something that I thought of is like especially like the employment piece, and this goes for many times people are doing some sort of testing to advance in their employment. Like that can be a pressure on it. There's also a level I know from me, and I know this isn't super healthy, but like a level of like embarrassment. Like I don't want
Mm.
to say that I didn't pass. Like that sucks. So that kind of pressure of whether it be the embarrassment or whatever that would kind of be qualified as, like, I don't want to. I'll do it if I have
No,
to.
that's totally a lot of people don't say when they're taking the test. Like, I
Heard that.
didn't tell anybody that I was taking my test because I had it in my head. Like, if I tell a bunch of people, like, "Yeah, I'm taking the test tomorrow," all those people are gonna reach back out to me, and I'm gonna have to tell them all that I failed, which it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the pass rate is for this test. It's not like it's more than half,
Yeah.
but it's not much more than that. So it's like, but still there's that level of embarrassment. Like I didn't want to have to tell anybody that I failed. Now I'm way more comfortable with it. So
Yeah.
like I'll let you know when I'm going to take this test and then I'll be like, yay, I passed or I failed.
I'm gonna try again.
Whatever. But for my first test, it was, yeah.
Okay. So that's a way to take some I appreciate that suggestion though of, not everybody has to know. It can be something that's a way to eliminate some of that added pressure that's not really necessary.
But also, like, just our group would be so supportive. So it's hard because, like I said, like, lean on your support systems, blah, blah, blah. But you're right. It would be hard to lean on those supports and then have to tell them that you failed. However, the reason I'm so comfortable with it is because I've known our group for so long where if I went into our supervision meeting with all of the other clinicians and I said like I sat for my test and I did not pass, nobody is going to think less of me because I'm a wonderful therapist. I really am. And the test does not define me and they've all had to sit through it. Like they all know how hard it is. It's so hard.
So thinking if we don't have that support, because I have talked to other people that have sat for this exam, and then I previously took one for my KSAC that I had some good support for that one, but leading up to it initially, like I had a shift in employment before, and I didn't really have anybody to lean on before that. And so thinking about some things that we can do to find that support would be joining like a support group for it. I know they have them. Being mindful
Oh,
if we are kind of reaching out to our online support, making sure that they're people that know what they're talking about.
I joined one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Yep. I joined an online group. I think I'm still part of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It was awful. You really got to be careful
Okay.
because it was nothing but, can I swear? I swear, it was nothing but a bitch fest about how
Okay.
the test is I had to, like, ignore it because that was what messed with my anxiety the most, is people would post and be like, "Just failed for the 7th time," and I'm just like, "My gosh!" And it was just all people just complaining that we shouldn't even have to take a test, and just yeah, there was no good, like, support. It was
Okay.
people supporting other people bitching about it was just it was weird. So
But being mindful of, like, if we're reaching out because I've always kind of utilized that for people that maybe didn't have that support of, like, finding that online piece, but, right, you have to be really mindful of what you're getting yourself involved in. Then being able to say, "Okay, this isn't healthy for me, I need to leave this," and that's okay.
mhm.
So maybe that first group we find may not be it, and that's okay. We really have to be mindful of what information we're taking in. If it's being more of, like, a hindrance to us, get out. Be done with it.
Yeah, that was a huge hit to
Mhm.
my mental health, like, my anxiety went through the roof.
Wow. I appreciate you sharing that because that's an angle that I didn't fully think about. So having that lived experience with it, that makes so much sense.
I mean, I went down the rabbit hole. Like, I would stalk people's Facebooks that posted to see, like, what was wrong with them. Like, why am I yeah, like, what okay, what do I have that you don't? So I know I'm not gonna fit like, it was just I spiraled. So, yeah, be very careful with any type of online support groups or study groups because they can turn into a bitch fest really easy.
Also, with that, being mindful of our learning style with like a study group, because some people might find a study group really beneficial, making sure it's one that is beneficial and that you're actually getting something out of. But like, if you don't study super well with other people, if you get really distracted, it may be beneficial for us to study and do this a little bit more independently and lean on the supports that are just in our corner rather than if we don't have a lot of people that have the same experience.
Yeah, I'd rather pick a small group. Or, I mean, when you join a group on Facebook, there's like rules
Yeah.
when you join. So maybe if you see one rule is like no negativity, that might be a good one. Just, yeah, being mindful of that.
Yeah.
What about the day of? Day of test.
Okay.
What do you do to counter anxiety?
So make sure you eat.
Oh, I know. I suck at eating breakfast. Like yeah, I
Make sure you eat. Like we forget about it. We're so in the moment of doing this. We're stressed. If you're going to then go and sit for 4 hours and you just hear your stomach rumbling, we can't concentrate super well when we are starving. But just having something that is healthy for us that is not going to make us have to go to the bathroom 100 times. Being mindful of what we're eating.
no Taco Bell breakfast.
Maybe I know for me, like limiting my caffeine as much as I might want to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get multiple coffees to make sure I can get through it." Well, if I'm sitting there vibrating the whole time, that's also not gonna be helpful.
Yep.
Um, something I did for my KSEC exam was I planned something that I was really excited about afterwards, regardless if I passed or if I failed.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Which okay. What was exciting for me was going to Home Depot and buying a plant because I had researched like where the test place was. I wanted to make sure plan your travel to it. Get there
Ooh.
early. Don't so you can take a few minutes before you're going in. So you're not like
So you
your
can
test.
ground
Yeah.
yourself. You're not yep.
So you're not getting there, the test is at 10 o'clock and you're getting there at 9:59 and running in. That's not good.
That just adds to your anxiety.
But I plan to go get a plant regardless. If I passed or if I failed, I was going to go treat myself with a plant because I tried. I showed up and I did it. So I deserve something. So that was something I did. Anything you can think of.
See, I don't normally eat breakfast. I'm not a breakfast eater, but when you are in that fight or flight major anxiety mode, all of your senses are heightened. So where like if I skip breakfast, like I make it to lunch, I don't even notice. I'm not
Right.
hungry. But if your anxiety is heightened, all of your it's all going to be heightened. So you're going to notice that you're hungry. Like it's going to be super noticeable for you and it's going to be all you can focus on.
Mhm.
So, yes, healthy breakfast. Actually, my study guide said specifically oatmeal.
Oh, yeah.
Oatmeal with blueberries is the, like, best breakfast. So, something with the blueberries have antioxidants
Yep.
for your brain, and oatmeal has, like,
It's good protein.
yeah, and the carbs are, like what is it? I don't wanna say extended release, but they But they, like, will get you through
Yeah.
an extended period of time.
They break down slower than, like,
So
eating white bread, which your body goes through it so much quicker.
yes.
Okay.
So with blueberries. But yeah,
Love that.
it is really important, even if you're not a breakfast eater,
Mhm.
to be sure to eat breakfast. If you do normally drink coffee in the morning, make sure you have your coffee.
Yeah.
Like, don't skip it because you don't want to be like, just, don't
Do
overdo it.
your norm.
Do your norm and add in some blueberries. But yeah, and just at that point, there's no more studying to be done. So that can really be where you focus on your self care. So, depending on how you are in the morning, I'm not a morning person, but if you are, you can get up, do some yoga, meditation, take a nice shower, actually get yourself ready. Like, I always feel better when I, do my hair and
There's so
get
much
ready and
looking like you're going to pass the test, and
mhm.
you're going to feel that. You're gonna feel more confident in that. Hmm.
Yeah, plus they take your picture. So,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Well, they did when I was there because you used to get a printout with your score and it would have your picture on it, but I guess now it comes up right on the computer. That takes away my anxiety a little bit more too because, the lady had to hand me the paper and be like, "Great job, you passed." So like that anxiety of even just having this sweet little lady, like I don't want her to tell me I failed. So
Right?
that takes away a little bit of the anxiety. Yeah. And also reviewing the rules of the test taking facility and the test that you're taking. So, because they change all the time. So make sure you're reviewing it. I mean, it sounds silly, but like, can you take bathroom breaks? Can you bring anything in with you? Like, what do you need to know?
Do you have a break?
Hmm.
To know, like, okay, at this time, I know I can get up for a second. That
Hmm.
can be helpful just to, so adding to that, like planning that day, knowing what to expect is going to be really helpful rather than just going in completely blind. So that might even be, I know like for our exams, you can do like the mock ones online and it's set up exactly the same way as it's going to be on their systems. Being familiar with what that looks like rather than going in completely blind. So I want to piggyback on the self care piece. And so I'm going to bring it back. Okay. So, like before test day, when we're doing studying, there is such an importance of engaging in self care prior to.
Hmm.
S- I'm guilty of this. All I want to do is study. Any free moment, I'm like, okay, I'm going to study because if not, I'm wasting my time.
Yeah.
No.
Self care is not a waste of time, people.
Right.
It's good
Not
for
at
you.
all. It's good for you. It's necessary.
Hmm.
And so this was something that I think got brought up recently, like redefining what our self-care looks like. So what is actual self-care for us is going to be important. If it's doing something we enjoy, maybe it's doing something that we feel comfortable, like rewatching a show or rewatching a movie, like different things that are unique to us in that sense, not just like whatever we label self-care as. Making sure we're participating in that regularly so we're not engaging in like the burnout practice. That's even though maybe it's not exactly work related, it's still realistic to experience that burnout. Back to the piece that our brain can only hold so much. Maybe it's not realistic for us to study 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's just not going to happen. So the priority of taking those breaks as well. When we are studying for whatever exam, focus on studying at that point in time. Don't study and have all of these different distractions because we're not going to have the distractions during the test. And if we're
Mm.
used to that, of that distraction, I know like I'm someone who listens to music all the time when I'm studying. Being mindful to maybe as I get closer to the test, not to do that, to like feel what that quietness feels like as well. But being able to make sure
Mm.
that we know ourselves in that.
I didn't even think about the quietness part.
See, I get
Yeah.
comfort in that. I get uncomfortable in that quiet.
It's mega quiet in the testing room. Like, they even have headphones, like noise canceling headphones. Like, it's mega quiet. That tripped me out too.
Yeah. And if like I know for me, like I'm someone I study with music. I have something else going. There's a dog barking. This happens. Sirens go.
Oh, that's so interesting. Because now that you're saying that, I do remember that that was something I was not prepared for.
Ah.
Was I wasn't prepared for it to be so, like, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. And I think that was part of the reason why at a certain point I was just like, every question is the same and I can't
Right.
focus.
Right. Some people do focus great in that quiet, and that's their sole focus. I'm not one of them. I tend to get distracted in the quiet. My thoughts go.
Same. Oof.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Something else to kind of consider when we're preparing is being mindful of how our anxiety feels in our body. So we talked about like when it goes into fight or flight or that survival mode. How does that actually feel so that we can identify it and know, okay, this is anxiety.
Yeah, because it doesn't just stay in your brain.
Oh,
There's a lot of physiological effects, which we know anxiety has effects on your body, but specifically test anxiety. It affects my stomach a lot. Like, yeah, take some Pepto because I always have like an uneasy stomach. I'm always like nauseous.
and that could even, I mean, if we didn't identify that before, say we're like just coming up to it, that might be a reason that we don't go through it. Like, oh, I can't take it if I'm
Mm,
feeling well,
mhm.
because our brain's looking for that excuse. Our brain wants to run. Our brain doesn't want to do the uncomfortable thing.
Yeah,
It wants to
avoid
protect
the
us.
scary stuff.
So if it convinces us that, well, I'm not going to do my best anyways because I'm feeling sick, when we don't identify that sick as just being part of that test anxiety, it's crazy. Our brain works against us
Mhm.
many times to protect us.
Yep, it thinks it's helping, but it is
Mhm.
not. Like, brain, we gotta take this test. Like, stop.
It can show up as a headache. I'm sure it could probably show up as like body aches as well for some of us, but like it does not just stay in our head. Some
Yeah.
things that are in our head are like maybe the racing thoughts, that inability to concentrate. So that's where identifying those coping skills and those grounding techniques before so that we have them on deck and
Mhm.
practicing them before, not just I'm someone who like I can have a whole list of all the coping skills, but like am I doing them and doing them effectively? That's a different story.
Right? Yeah, I can tell you the greatest coping skills. Do I use them? I should. Do I practice what I preach? Sometimes.
Right. Sometimes on those really good days, not the times that it's really gonna come in handy. I
True.
guess I'm guilty of that. Like, when I'm doing well, I'm doing all the great things. When I'm not doing well, I forget all those. They go out the window. Knowing that about myself, I have to be really mindful about that going into an exam.
Mhm. Yep.
This also shows up, I mean, like, I think about my husband had to take like an EAP exam for his work, and that was something he is not a test taker. He has not sat in school. Like many people who are going to be taking tests or doing things to advance skills have not sat in school for a long time or have been out of school. Like for you, you're taking a second exam. You haven't been in school for 3 years now or longer than that. So being able to identify what that studying looks like for you and having I love that you said the schedule piece
Mhm.
because we tend to forget how to do that. Life shows up.
I didn't really take any tests in my master's either. It was
Right.
all papers and projects and role play, stuff like that. But I don't think I took a single actual like test.
Yeah.
No. So it's been, I don't want to like age myself too bad, but it's probably been like 15 years since I took a test at school.
Yeah. Huh.
So,
I didn't think about that part.
uh-huh. Yep.
Something that showed up for a while. Anything that you think we missed when it comes to test anxiety or like prepping for tests or exams? And yes, we really talked about like the social work one, but I think these skills can apply kind of across the board, whether it is someone's listening in their high school and just being able to ground themselves a little bit more, remembering that the test does not define us.
Hmm.
That was one of the
Yes. If you're prepared for it, that does help ease your anxiety.
Mhm.
Like, no, you studied, you're prepared. It'll be okay.
Something that I just thought about is like, I know something that I have asked myself and I've like asked other people is like, am I ready to take the test?
Oh,
I don't think you're ever ready.
no.
Like, if we continue to ask ourselves, are we ready? We're just going to put it off.
Mhm.
Content wise is different than like feeling ready to go and take it. So like there can be a benefit in giving ourselves that deadline. Yours was a little extreme of giving yourself 24 hours, uh, setting a deadline and being able to say, okay, this is the time that I'm going to take it. This is what I need to cover by that point in time. Being able to be mindful and being realistic with ourselves of like, okay, do I need a month? Do I need 6 months? Do I need 3 months? But I don't think we're ever going to feel ready to take
Mhm.
it. I just don't think that feeling exists.
So what do you do then? How do you set a deadline for yourself? Like, how are you setting a deadline for yourself?
I am going to try and give myself some time, but I'm going to, in a weird sense, like let the universe set that deadline a little bit of depending on when. So I haven't gotten like the ability to schedule the exam yet. So I think once I get that ability to schedule the exam, I'm going to try and do it a couple weeks out so that I have some time to really study and know what I'm doing, but I don't want it to be too far because then I don't want to psych myself out.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if there's, like, a great answer to that. I think it's definitely, like, individualized because I know for me, I wanna take it, like, as soon as possible so I can get it done and over with, but I really wanna try and balance okay, I wanna also make sure I'm prepared, so I feel like I can be prepared because I took on studying. It would be a different story if I was waiting to get the approval to take it, then starting studying then. I think I'd have a very different mindset. I think I'd panic a little bit. That's why I started doing the prep before,
Mhm.
so that, okay, once I get it, I'm gonna feel comfortable scheduling it when it's available. I'm not gonna do it, like, the week after, but I'm gonna give myself a little bit of time. For me, I had that built-in waiting period that I had to submit stuff, then I have to get the approval to take it, then I can schedule it, so, I had a little bit of time built in, but, like, if we completely put everything down and then we're gonna pick it back up once the test is coming. I think listening to ourselves and, like, feeling how confident we are in the material.
Mhm.
Do we know what it is? Like, I know I went into it and I started studying, I'm like, "Oh my god, I know nothing of this." And then here I am a week in and, okay, yeah, this is coming back. Like, I learned this, I haven't used this in a little while, so it's pulling these things back.
Mhm.
So I think for me doing it has to do with employment as well.
Mhm.
So the sooner that I take it, the sooner I'll be able to take on more with employment. And also the sooner it'll open up my schedule and I won't have to worry about studying. So I want to take it sooner than rather than later. Um, because I want it to be done. But I also want to be mindful and not rush it to just take
Mhm.
it tomorrow type of thing. What about you? What's your thought? Like, what do you think would make you?
Well, I had a 3-year waiting period to take this one,
Mhm.
so I've had some time. Calculated it out because I had to factor in my 6-week maternity leave because that pushes it back. That doesn't count towards the 3 years. So I'm eligible to schedule the test or apply for the test in July.
Okay.
So I'm just easing into it, but kind of have the same mentality of like I just want to review and into it, and then as soon as I have the ability to schedule, I'm just going to schedule it. So that way I have like right now I have a soft deadline of like July-ish, but then once I'm able to schedule it, I'll have a hard deadline, and I feel like that'll help me hone in on like, okay, what exactly do I still have left that I feel maybe like not as strong in? Like what topics? So,
I think another way to gauge that, I just thought about this. I know, like, for us, and I think if we're doing any of these type of standardized testing, I know maybe with work it may not be available, like if it's like something performance based, but like doing a practice test,
practice tests,
seeing how you do on that.
love them.
I think that I have not taken one yet. I plan to do that this weekend, and I think that'll help me gauge, like, if I score a 4 on it, I should probably push the test out a little bit. If I get somewhere within, the range, okay, then I can move forward. I'll feel a little bit more confident in that. So that's why I've pushed that off
But
a
it's
little bit.
also great to that's what I used to start with my
Yeah.
LMSW was I took a practice test and I marked off all the ones that I just had no clue. That's what I studied first.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the ones I really focused on.
Very good. So then using that kind of as your study guide in a
Yeah,
sense, like, this is the areas that I need some more improvement. These are the areas that I just gotta do some review.
because you'll see a trend. Like mine was the, oh my gosh, what is it? Like the stages of development with
Mhm.
Freud and Eric Erikson and like though pretty much all those questions I got stuck on. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's obviously the section I need to study the hardest on.
So using that as that guide.
Mhm.
So then it's individual to us too.
Yeah.
Because like what might be difficult for someone else may not be difficult for me. And what's going to be difficult for you is not going to be the same. For whatever we're doing in that, being able to look at that real life example too.
Yeah.
Another piece is going to be knowing what that test looks like. So like for us, it's the best answer, not the
Oh,
right answer. And that's
yes.
so I have to read the question differently.
And you
Write
have to
down.
pay attention, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, this is the scenario. First, you do this. What do you do next? And it's like, and all the answers could be right. So you're like, yeah.
Also thinking about a test is a situation. It's not assessing your intelligence. It's not assessing your worth as a person. It's assessing your problem solving or your ability to tackle this specific situation in this setting.
Mhm.
So that for me was a little bit helpful to help break away from it, like defining me, but knowing that, okay, these are, yes, they might be real life examples, but if I don't do well, it's not going to take away my ability to be a therapist in general.
Yes. Because, like, there's a lot of different social workers taking this exam.
Yeah.
So there's private practice, there's medical social workers, there's, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many. I got quite a few medical social worker questions, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't
Right.
want to know. So just keeping that in mind too, that it is a very broad test. But, if you don't know all of it, it's fine.
So takeaway, specifically for me, and something I'm going to continue to remind myself of is be kind, being kind to myself through
Yep.
this, and making sure that I am listening to myself in the ways that I need to show up for myself. So if that's self-care, if that's taking breaks, if that is making sure I eat and not diving into studying and not getting up for 6 hours, well, I probably need to eat within there and go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
not running
Get
to
up
eat.
and stretch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So taking those breaks is important. What's
Mm-hmm.
something that, or what are any like takeaways for you?
Yeah, just not overdoing it. For sure. I can get in those obsessive mindsets
Yeah.
where yeah, I have to I have to keep that in mind too. So
Yeah.
just keep in mind. That's why I like the schedule. So that way I'm not obsessively studying because it's
Right.
not helpful.
Huh. Okay. Very good.
Cool.
So, if anybody has any experience with this or has any questions that maybe we didn't cover in this,
Send us your studying tips, your test anxiety tip, literally any tips, guys. Send them our way.
thank you so much for joining this week.
Bye.